One of them dropped.
I'm gonna go get it.
So I got my mic plug in, by the way. So
Very nice. Do you
If
want me to
you-
send, do you want me to send you the artwork?
sticker.
The art. I can't send you a sticker. I'll send you artwork.
Artwork. You mean I got to print my own damn stickers?
You got to print your own damn stickers, dude.
Okay, dude.
Yes. Yes, no worries. Hey everybody in the chat room watching live. We got a packed show tonight. I'm hoping to get through it all. Hey, if you got a awesome travel bug story, because we are talking about all things trackable today. So if you got an awesome trackable story, give us a call, 808-468-7924. Everybody in the chat room, give us a call, and I want to hear about your trackable story, because everybody's got a good one. I got a couple good ones you're going to hear about tonight. Everybody's got a good one. And Jesse's already in the screening room with callers, so I know other people do. So, Chad, how you doing, buddy?
I'm nice and warm. How are you doing?
Dude, it's here. I'll give you a sneak peek. That's how I'm freaking doing right now. Can you see that?
Yeah, I'm only about 100 degrees warmer than you.
That's how I'm doing right now. And my freaking basement is freezing. I am so cold. I have two space heaters in front of because I obviously we nothing's open. I worked from home today. I didn't even go to work today. I worked from home. I'm working from home tomorrow too. No schools. Schools are all closed. Mail did not even come. No mail today.
It was literally 66 degrees driving home from work this evening.
60
So that's 100 degrees warmer.
Yeah,
than you.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad. So it's cold. I mean, and so my room is slowly getting colder because we have really the house. Which guess what? We put a hey Chad, we're moving. We put a thing for a house today. We put a bid in for a house.
Awesome.
A nice little awesome house. Gonna be a new background, guys. So a couple of months, new background. We're moving. So because this house stinks. No, actually, I love this house, but it needs new windows. That's the problem. And so like it is freezing cold in this house. So
well, I'm glad you found the perfect house.
Well, we put an offer.
Put an offer.
We put an offer, and we hope we get it. But we're looking to move like end of February. Like February, we want a closing date of like February 23rd, I think, or something like that. It's crazy. My life is going to get insane. And guess what? The podcast, I got so much coming up, guys, on the podcast. It's going to get absolutely insane. This podcast is going to get crazy. So late February, guys, we're definitely going to do a catch of coffee because like I got to do a lot of packing. So maybe even throw unless Chad wants to take the reins and try and do it himself. I don't even know if you know how to. Do you even know how to run this show?
I've never ran the your phone thingy, so I have not a clue how to do that.
Tom Brotherman in the chat room says new windows are cheaper than a new house. Yeah, I know, but this house needs like $40,000 worth of work. Tom, that's why we're moving.
New windows can get expensive. I remember.
Not even new window. That's only a little bit of it. This house needs $40,000 worth of work. We had an estimator come. We tried to buy this house. Come on, absolutely.
About 20 years ago, at 2 houses ago, I replaced all the windows in the house, and it cost me something like $18,000.
$20,000. That's about right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right. I got callers, guys. You want to call in 808-468-7924. Your best trackable story. I want to hear all about it. All right. Chad, you ready to start the show, pal?
Sure.
All right. Let me get this ready. Everybody, welcome to the chat room. Good to see you on this frigid Wednesday. If you're from the Midwest. Oh, what else do I need here? Hold on, I'm so sorry. I'm totally not prepared. I'm prepared in 1 second. Here we go. Okay. I'm not ready. Okay, here we go. Let's push play so we can record this humongous show that we've got going here, guys. It's gonna be huge. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
You want to know how to find it. Seek it out when they hide it. You know it's in the bag when it's an easy grab. But come on, take a chance now. Go, geocache. If you need help, we're right there in a flash. If you got a question, just call in and ask. Uncover the stash on the Geocaching Podcast. The Geocaching Podcast.
Welcome, everyone. It is Wednesday. It is 8:30, which means that it is once again time for the Geocaching Podcast. My name is Scott Bergs. We have the beautiful Shorty Knits manning the phones. And please welcome my co-hosts to my virtual left, Jazz 427.
Howdy, y'all. I hear it's cold out there in the polar vortex, so bundle up and get ready for the show. We're going to have some amazing news tonight.
To start, yes, tonight's episode 548, recorded live on January 30th, 2019. And it is all things trackballs. Did you hear what I said there, Chad? Trackball?
Yeah.
Hear that? You know why I said trackballs? Because all week I put on Facebook, guys, go look at social media. I said, I didn't say trackables. My stupid word, Microsoft Word, took trackables and did autocorrect the trackballs. So we're talking all things trackballs tonight,
Awesome.
guys, if you're curious. The phone lines are open. So give us a call, 808-468-7924. That is 808-GOT-SWAG. Guys, if you got a trackable story, I want to hear it. Chad wants to hear it. Everybody's got one. I got a couple you're going to hear tonight. Everybody has got a trackable story, a good one. I want to hear it. Give me a call, 808-GOT-SWAG. Chad, but before we hear about those stories, there is so much going on in the geocaching world these days. It is crazy. I can't keep up. It's so much going on. Chad, let's start with Patreon.
Yes.
Patreon, Chad. You know, guys, it costs a lot of money to make this show work. We try hard. Just the con costs a lot of money. And we really could use your help. We currently have over 40 subscribers. We have one new subscriber, Chad, this week. A guy, Richard Oliveira, I think. I don't know. I shot him an email. He wants to remain someone anonymous. I shot him an email saying, hey, where are you from? What's your caching name? Did not get back to me this week. Maybe he will next week. But so all I have is his full name. So, Rich, we appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for knuckling up to the bar.
Awesome.
Yes, I will help you. We appreciate it so much. Hey, guys, please give anything you can. We'd really, truly appreciate it. It costs so much to make this show run. The call-in alone costs a ton, and to make all this. So give us any help if you can. That's patreon.com/the Geocaching Podcast. We really could use it. We really thank you. We really appreciate it.
All right. Well, tonight's show is brought to you by Cachly. Cachly is an advanced geocaching app for iOS. It features powerful online and offline features, including filtered searches, offline maps, and offline saving of caches. Cachly has hundreds of advanced features that will make your geocaching experience just that much better. Get more information at Cachly.com. That's Cachly.com. And why don't I have a Cachly mug?
I have a Cachly mug. Look at that. I'm actually, look at how I'm rocking that right there. You see that? I am totally rocking our sponsor right there. I got my Cachly mug right there. You like that? Boom. There you go.
So I need a Cachly mug.
Tonight, we're also sponsored by Logwork. Logwork are the creators of the fantastic logbook made with genuine write-in-the-rain paper. The logbooks are designed for the micro-containers of the present and future, geared towards the hider who would rather go caching than do cache maintenance. Find them at logwork.com. That's LOGWERK.com.
It's also brought to you by FTF Geocacher Magazine. FTF Geocacher is the magazine for geocachers written by geocachers with 6 issues a year. FTF offers practical advice, hints and tips, geocaching bios and milestones, or geocacher bios and milestones, geocaching events, trail tales, and all things geo-related. Find them at ftfgeocacher.com. FTF GEOCACHER.com.
That's you didn't mess it up. I think it's the first time ever you haven't messed that up at all. Well done, Chad.
What? Have I been misspelling FTF Geocacher?
I usually stumble upon it. You stumble on it. Is what I use.
Okay.
And as always, guys, you can find links to our sponsors in all of our show notes.
I'm not the best speller, folks.
We've got some news here to start the show, Chad. This is such a packed show, dude. Such a packed show. We are going to start with the maze.
The amazing news.
The amazing news. The shocking. Anybody who listens to this show is not shocked that Texas got the the maze. But Vince, who is currently on the phone. Hey, Vince, how you doing?
Oh, about medium rare. How about you?
I am rare as rare could be, sir. I'm borderline frozen. So you,
yeah, you guys are freezer. You're gonna be fresh for months to come.
Oh, dude, it's brutal. It is currently negative 34 outside right now. I showed the chat room live. Yeah, it is
crazy.
Cold.
That's crazy.
So tell me what you do and what's going on.
Well, I don't know what I do, but I would say that I would probably be the one responsible for nagging enough people and finding enough people, starting about 2 years ago, asking why we could not have the GPS maze icon back in the United States. Mm-hmm. And this was after a trip to the Czech Republic for business, and I was over there, and they had this event there during this time, and it was one of the things that we just couldn't understand, why we couldn't do the same thing here. And it was one of those things that it doesn't exist anymore here in the United States, so it would have to have been built from scratch. And so we decided that we would start knocking on doors and seeing if we could get somebody to listen to us to bring it back to the U.S.
Oh, nice.
So that was quite the process. Meaning,
well, just
people go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, is the one that's currently not in America? I think it's in Europe, correct? Is that one? Is that the same one that we went to? That I went to in 2014 or whenever I went? I can't remember. Or is it a different?
It would not be. And here's a little bit of clarity: is the partnership that Groundspeak had was with another company out of Canada. When the original United States GPS maze was here, they now have an agreement like we have one here in the U.S. with a group out of the Czech Republic that operates the GPS maze in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so what we realized is that since there was not one that existed here, that we would have to build it. So it was one of those questions, and I knocked on enough doors and nagged enough people over the 2-year period that finally our TXGA team here, which is the Texas Geocaching Association team, Tom Brotherman, who's on the chat right here, our president, and Dee Vickery, finally said, okay, let me just send a message up to Annie Lovett at Groundspeak and see if it's even possible to get you off my back about 6 to 8 months ago. And believe it or not,
the power of nagging. The power of nagging.
Again?
The power of nagging works.
Yeah, I mean, and I would have to say that we were all shocked, meaning it was something that, okay, we didn't expect the best result out of it, or maybe there were certain things that would preclude us from being able to do it, cost being one. It would be cost prohibitive to be able to build it. Uh-huh. But myself, along with Brian Erickson, who is B Viking, he and I have worked together and did a budget, and we did a multi-page proposal, and we delivered it back in a few weeks. And they came back and said, we love the idea. We want to do it. We want to bring it back. And not much has changed from the previous one, except in the fact is that we'll be rolling out the new Adventure Labs. Mm-hmm. Adventure Labs are the new type of labs that some of us have got, so that the secret mail's on. And they will be incorporated within the GPS maze here in May once we get it.
Okay, I got one more question for you, and then I got to let you go because I got such a huge show. I apologize.
I'll give you 5 questions, but yes, no worries.
One question I got for you, and this is I'm sure people are curious about this. I've done the maze. I did the maze a couple years ago. It's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. But you're also say you're including 10 lab caches into it, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I know how long it takes to do the maze, and I know how long it takes to do a lab cache. And then you're working on, you're going to have I can imagine huge lines for this thing. Everybody who never got this icon wants this icon.
Me.
Right.
So I'm just curious, what's your plan? Do you guys have a plan in place for that? Lab caches take time. Doing the whole thing takes time. What's your plan?
Yep. So some of the lab caches will not be integrated in the actual walkthrough. They'll be in the area or the general area after you pass through the lab, and in a general parking lot area afterwards, and in Testis Wesleyan University where we're going to be. That's the first thing. And by the way, this is May 25th through the 27th. It'll be for 3 days, and it'll be from 8 a.m. till just about dark, somewhere around, maybe 7:30 in evenings. Yes, you are correct. And everywhere I'm posting this, there will be lines. I waited in the Czech Republic for 2 hours in line.
Oh, wow.
And,
Wow.
and they had 5,000 people attending that event.
Wow.
So let me just tell you, that was one of the things that we are working very hard and working with the lab caches and making sure that they're not hard lab caches that are going to take you too long. Plus, we have lots of volunteers, and we're going to need lots of volunteers, and we're looking for volunteers to help move people along, help them with the lab caches, and make it a learning experience, because we just don't want it to be walking through a building, because that doesn't suit the purpose. But we do want it to be an experience that people do come walk away from and say that they've learned something.
And when I'm sorry, Chad, go ahead.
So is it going to be indoors and air conditioned, or outdoors and or hopefully at least in the shade? Because I lived in Houston for 20 years. I know how friggin' hot and humid it gets.
Oh, it's crazy. Yes. And so, yes, that's a huge concern of ours. And there are lots of shade trees on Texas Wesleyan University. The lines will go along the shade trees. It will be hot. We know that. This is May in Texas. So the other thing we thought about too is that what if it rains? What are we going to do? Because it does rain in Texas.
It does.
Yep.
As you know, if you live in Houston, it can rain pretty hard.
Oh, yeah.
So we've got contingency plans. We got places. The maze is indoors, air conditioning buildings, indoor facilities, and so we will have that as well. One other thing is that if you have a VIP package within the maze, which you can see those packages at gpsmaze.us, gpsmaze.us, you will have early access on Friday night. So there will be early night on the 24th. So you'll have access that evening as well.
Awesome. So can you do
I don't want to take too much of your time, so I'm giving you the compendium version.
will you do me a favor, Vince? Will you call me back in the beginning of May, and I will give you a whole show about the Texas Geo Woodstock?
Oh yeah, you bet. Oh yeah. And by then we'll have so much more information. We have some exciting things I'd like to tell you about now, but I don't want to take from your show, and I do appreciate the time slices that you give me.
No, I had it late April, early May. Contact me. I will give you an entire show. I'll give you an hour to speak all you want.
Sold.
Awesome.
You bet.
All right, I look forward to it. Thanks so much, buddy. I appreciate it.
All right, team. I really appreciate your time. Thanks for having me. And
we'll talk to you
All
soon.
right, thanks for calling in.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. That is the maze at Geo Woodstock, Chad.
Awesome.
Hashtag vindication.
Yeah.
Geocaching podcast.
So
Hashtag Carrot Killer was right.
Yes, definitely. We kind of grilled Carrot Killer a little bit there, and Electric Water Boy Tom Brotherman. He only replied with a one-word response to me when I asked about it. He said rumor. So technically, he wasn't lying, but he was obfuscating. I can't say that word. The truth. But great job, guys, on getting this here. I really appreciate it personally, and I know a lot of other cachers do as well.
Trust me, if I didn't have it, we'd be going to Texas. But lucky me, I have it, so I can coach my kids over the Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely changing my geocaching plans for 2019.
I know you're going to go, Chad. I know you are. Houston's calling you back, pal. It's calling you back. All right, we got to move along. We got such a huge show here. We got so many people on the calls. Callers, please hang on. I'm so sorry. We're trying to get through this. Hey, Chad, did you get the moving along in the news here? The Adventure Lab invitations were mailed today, Chad. Did you see the invitation?
I did not see that.
Yeah. There is and Geocaching HQ extended the Adventure Lab experiment. A select number of geocaching organizations and up to 250. Hey, number of geocaching organizations. You think that's us, Chad?
Could be.
I think that might be us.
Awesome.
Jesse's shaking her head. No, she doesn't think it's us. She doesn't think so. She says no. Up to 250 qualified geocachers will be given the chance to create adventures. These, hey, Groundspeak, we'll do a geocaching podcast adventure. Literally, it'll be a geocaching podcast adventure. These adventures will remain active for at least 6 months or potentially longer for the community to enjoy. The goal is to release 250 active adventures to the geocaching community by spring 2019. To accomplish this, we are inviting those who meet the requirements to apply by February 26th. So if you want, we have a link here in the show notes if you want to see if you are eligible. Basically, if you cache and you've done a lab cache, you're eligible, basically. So Jesse's.
I think that you needed to have gotten that email, and you have to go through the link on the email.
Well,
I think everybody got the email. Did everybody get the email?
Not everyone. I mean, there are requirements in order to be eligible.
I see. So I got the email because I'm eligible. I'm assuming.
Correct.
Chad, eligible.
I'm thinking Chad probably meets these requirements. They're pretty basic.
I probably got the email, but it's probably filtered into my social or one of the other folders that I just don't look at too often. And way too often I select all and delete all.
Oh,
so I need to go look at my deleted folder tonight and find out.
Basically, you must have found 2 lab caches, have owned at least 1 cache that is published within the last 3 years, have posted a log on a cache in the past 4 months.
Check.
You own caches that must have at least 25 total favorite points.
Check.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
I qualify for all those. I mean, I found 125 lab caches. That should qualify me.
Yeah. Let's try this.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So
armchair. Excuse me.
I think I'm approaching 50 favorites on one of my caches. So,
all right. So it's time for some. Hey, Chad. Guess what?
What?
Before we start the show again, callers. I'm so sorry. Before we start this call, we've got some emails, Chad.
Emails.
Yeah, we do.
Awesome.
Hey, this is B Mars 7391 sent me an email about last week's show. Last week's show we did the winter caching show. Remember?
Mm-hmm.
That one. He says found a cache this past weekend. GC6J GXJ Utah Geotour Sevier Pondo Grove Old Spanish Trail. He says it is about 9,000 elevation. I'm assuming a feet above.
Whoa, so that's high for this this time of year. That's gonna have some snow on it, I would think.
Yeah. He says, wait, hold on. Did not have to walk far, a couple of 100 yards. But the snow was almost to my knees in spots. He said, remember I was talking about walking in snow. If you've never walked in snow before, difficulty. He goes, I am 6'5", and he says the lunges were burning.
Lungs.
Was it lungs? Lungs were burning. Oh yeah, dude. If it's up to your knees, you are struggling. Snow totally blows to walk through. Oh, it's the worst. So hey, B Mars, well done, sir. 9,000. That's a lot, man. I haven't gone that high. I was in Colorado. I got pretty high, but not that high. All right, so that's the email. Now we're going to start the show, Chad. But before we start the show, we got some callers here who want to talk about the trackables. So I'm going to start. Chad, you're going to love this story here. I'm going to bring. Hold on. I'm going to bring in.
Acme Wild Cachers.
I got Kazcan. Kazcan, can you hear me?
Kazcan. Okay.
Yeah, what's up? I'm only about 70 degrees warmer than that last prediction of being negative something.
I am negative 34 degrees where I live right now.
Okay, well, we're at 44, so there's a 70-something degree differential. Man, I'm sweating based on your numbers.
So I got Kazcan here on the show tonight because he does something really, really, really interesting with his trackables. What he does, he has guys, this is going to become your new favorite page. You go to facebook.com/agencywatch. Okay, AGENCYWATCH. Well, I'm going to let you tell the story here, Kazcan. Why don't you tell the people what you do?
Well, what I've got is I basically have a recon trooper themed trackables that are deployed, and the different holders basically role play with them if they desire. It's about a 50-50 on who wants to play. And they just pick up the theme of being a scout, for example, with one of my recon team leaders that happens to be a trackable. And I've on the Agency Watch page that you mentioned on Facebook, I basically have a fake news page that based on the activities that are logged or any pictures that are posted to the logs, I roll that information and make a news story out of it and post it on the page. And this evening, I posted one for Razorback 22 is his call sign, and that happens to be Field Corporal Gilmer, the trackable, and he's with Private Wagtag, Wagtag 15 out of Augusta, Georgia, and they did a 53 cache run back on the 26th up about 130 miles northwest of their outpost, and took care of a 50-star series in Georgia. So that was their accomplishment. And there's a photo that the holder placed on the logs, and I just rolled it into a story, and there it is. That's the latest and greatest on that particular page. And meanwhile, I've created little rank structures and skill levels based on the activities of both the holder and the trackable. And I actually kind of treat the trackables like they're a geocacher. They have their own GSEC file that I run here and keep track of the stats and things of that nature.
I love it. I want your job because I do not have this kind of time on my hands. So I want your job.
Well, I don't have that kind of time either. I'm a one-man band. So I'm lucky. The goal is to try to put a story or a summary of the activity. Thankfully, it's winter right now, so there's not that much going on.
Sure.
So, but come spring and summer, I definitely get overrun. There's a lot more that goes on in my head and things that I'd like to do, but it's just the usual time, money, place, equipment, personnel
course,
that
yes.
you got to have the right mix to be able to do it.
So in a nutshell, basically, guys, he puts out a bunch of Army guys as trackables, and he names the Army guys, and then we get them. We take pictures of the Army guys doing stuff. We send him the pictures, and he makes a story out of it. Correct? Am I getting that in a nutshell? What you do?
Yeah, that's pretty good. You just log it as you normally would on the trackable page, and if there's any writing, especially if I see pictures, and depending on what's going on in the picture, sometimes they become the cover photo on that particular page, depending on the formatting and such. But yeah, I definitely try to post the picture and roll it into it. If the people in the field take the time to write something in a log, or as I call it, an activity report or a situation report,
Right.
I glean that information, and a lot of times I embellish it and create other scenarios with it. Some of it's humorous, some of it's kind of conspiracy stuff. It just depends on what strikes me of what I see.
Dude, I love this so much. And the best part of this, guys, is I'm not going to give you, but he actually created on Google, he created a maps thing. So he's mapping all of his Army guys so you could see where they are in the world. So he has a whole map. The link is in the show notes, guys. If you want to go to the show notes, that's in there. It's genius, dude. I love this. I spent way too much time today reading your Facebook page. I was supposed to be working. I'll really admit, I hope my bosses listen to this, but like, it sucked me right in. It was great. It is facebook.com/agency watch, guys. It is fantastic. You told me, Keith, you promised me you're going to send me a guy, right? I want a guy.
Yeah, soon I've got a couple of them that are being recalled for transfer to a new duty station. I have a few people that's been doing this with me, at least with the recon scenario since 2015. Now I've been doing some version of this since 2012. So I started off with law enforcement. I worked for a aviation unit in Florida, law enforcement, and we originally sent out our aircraft, duplicates of our aircraft, and they were on patrol. There's only 2 of them left that hasn't been shot down, so to speak, or captured or
Is
whatever.
that gone? Is that
And,
MIA out of a cache? Is shot down?
Yeah, that would be the fake aircraft.
Right, yeah.
The
You know what I'm saying?
travel
Does that
bugs
mean
went missing.
does that mean they're gone?
Casualty rates were kind of high until I started getting long-term holders of the travel bugs that wanted the scenario. So,
oh god, this is so nerdy. I love it so much.
Thing for the bug.
I love this so much.
A high MIA ratio here.
That is so genius, dude. You're a genius.
Oh, I'm looking at the
Are you watching the agency?
I'm looking at the Facebook page now, and this is some hilarious stuff.
Yeah, dude, genius, absolutely genius. Dude, thank you, Keith. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on this show, guys.
Well, thank you for hosting the podcast and inviting me to chime in and share a thing. I'll get a recon trooper out to you, and as always, you can have your tour of duty as long as you'd like. So
I'm going to send you some snow pictures.
I'll drop you a line when his travel orders are cut, and he'll be heading your way.
That is absolutely amazing.
Government transportation.
Guys, again, facebook.com/agency watch, AGENCYWATCH. It is a genius thing. Keith, well done, sir. I hope it lasts for a long time. Good going, sir.
Hopefully I can engage a lot more. And hey, remember now you have to start at the bottom. You're just going to be a recruit to start with until you do some things, and then trooper. And right now I've got ACDC family and outside of Dallas, Texas. They've been with me since 15. They're getting ready to get promoted to platoon leader. So they've started as a recruit and worked their way up to be a lieutenant here in a couple of days.
I know there's one in Indiana right now. I looked at the map and I saw there was one in Indiana that I want to make a run for to go get the guy.
I want to be a recruit too.
Oh, you got to send Chad one too. Can you send Chad a guy too?
Yeah, I can do that. You got the connection, so go ahead and drop me an address, and I'll, as your screener says, I'll put him in the queue.
Awesome.
Chad, send him a in the show notes is his call sign, the mountain dog. Send him your address via
I will.
Geocaching.
Yep.
I'll send him that. All right, Keith, I appreciate it so much, dude. Thank you so much for calling in. I love this idea. I hope it goes for a long time. It's absolutely genius. Well done, sir.
All right. Well, we always evolve, and we're getting ready to change from Mountain Dog to Earth Boar because I line up the task force name with the Chinese New Year. So there'll be a few name changes coming here shortly, just to shake it up a bit.
Well, I liked your page, so I'll be it's gonna start showing up in my news feed, and I look forward to it very much. Keeping track of your boys. So
all righty, you take care.
Thanks, man. We'll talk soon.
Awesome.
Okay. See you.
Is that just the greatest, Chad?
That's awesome.
So much. I heard about this. Team Dastardly sent me an email. I'm like, oh, I gotta get this guy on the show. This is insane. I had to work and I couldn't go off the page. I want to keep reading. Chad, stop reading. I see your eyes moving.
I'm one of these people that loves to take pictures of trackables too.
Way to take
appropriate pictures. Yeah.
Take the trackable and bring it up to the next level. I love it.
Yeah.
Making stories with pictures. It makes you want to take pictures of it. I absolutely love it.
Yep.
It's absolutely genius. So we got to move to the queue here. We got calls in the queue here. So before we start the show again, we're gonna hear stories. I want to hear stories. We're gonna hear stories. I'm gonna start with Acme Wildcatchers. Acme Wildcatchers from Madison, Wisconsin. Hello. Hello.
Hey guys.
Can you hear me? Hello.
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can. How you doing? First of all, thank you very much for being a patron.
All right. Yeah.
Is it cold there?
Yeah, it's cold there. Is it cold?
Yeah, it's about what you're facing.
There you go. See, and so you have a story to tell that you were going to you emailed me because you Wednesday. Is that correct? You are a listener to the show. You are a patron of the show. Thank you so much. But you also bowl. Yeah.
That's right. I'm in a bowling league from basically September through early April, Wednesday. But tonight, with the weather being so frigid cold, bowling alley closed. So hey, I have a free night and I can call.
Well, thank you so much for calling in, sir. Tell me about your story.
Yeah, so my own trackables have been mixed success. My most interesting story is for one that I helped resurrect for somebody else. So I found a cache sometime last spring, and it had a trackable in it that was not logged in online, which had me curious. So I looked at the logs for the trackable, and the last log was from 3 years prior, the owner marking it missing. So I dug around a little more and realized that the one marked missing then was actually a replacement for the original. And I seem to have the original. Somehow it just showed up in this cache after like 4 or 5 years missing in the state of Wisconsin somewhere. And so I contacted the owner and said, hey, I think I have your original trackable here. And he's like, well, what did it have with it? And I said, well, it's got a stuffed rabbit and a wooden nickel and a page explaining trackables and a list of states that it's visited. And he's like, that's everything. You have the original. So I was able to send it back out into the world after 4 years missing and a second attempt missing.
So why did it? I'm confused. So it didn't have a TB code on it, or you went? I'm confused.
No, it did, and the last log on the original item was in a different cache in the Madison area, and then it seemed to have disappeared. So whoever picked it up never logged it out, never logged it back in, and it was just gone. And so after like a year, the owner put out a new item with the same tracking code on it.
Yeah, proxy.
That one also went missing. Yeah, that one also went missing within a couple months. So 3 years go by, and then I find the original item in a cache.
That's pretty amazing, dude. To actually stumble upon.
Yeah, I was thrilled. I mean, I moved trackables a fair amount, but that was the most interesting thing I'd ever seen.
Well, that's. I'm wondering. I've got a caller in the queue right now that has a similar story, and I'm wondering they might have a solution to that, because Jesse was talking about this earlier, what the solution to why that might have happened. But that's a really weird story that happened. I appreciate the call. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Love the show, guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being a patron. We appreciate it so much. Always a pleasure. Call again. Hey man, once you are out of bowling, I expect you to be in the chat room and calling me on a regular basis, sir. Deal?
Yeah, it'll definitely be a lot easier in the summer.
All right, we'll talk soon. Thanks, man. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye. Okay, moving along on that, Chad. What he said, we're gonna bring in the ultimate friend to the show, Cody Dog 00. Cody Dog, how you doing, buddy?
Hey. I'm doing good.
How you doing? So you got a story. You have a story as well, don't you?
I do. I have an interesting story. It actually involves you too.
Me?
So it does.
Oh, hey. Okay.
So to give some backstory, so it stems from a travel bug that was released in May of 2012. Okay, so that was quite a long time ago. What ended up happening was I went to an event and I collected up a whole bunch of travel bugs that went to that event, not mine, other people brought, because I was planning on going to Denver with you.
Yes, with me.
And so I was like, whatever, I'll collect these travel bugs. And then I was like, all right, I got home, I was logging them, and I discovered someone dropped a travel bug that was unactivated into the pile. And I was like, that's weird. So I contacted the owner of that event, and I was like, do you know of anyone who just dropped off an unactivated trackable? And they couldn't find anyone who did it. So I just ended up activating it. And then, so I kept it for a little bit. I bounced it around Wisconsin. And then we had our trip in May of 2012. We went out to visit Wild Crew out in Colorado. And so, of course, I brought the bug with me, and we had an event there. So I dropped it at an event there, and it sat for a little bit with someone who was at the event. And eventually they took it somewhere else in Colorado. And I guess they brought it up to like the top of a mountain, and I guess someone else picked it up before a wildfire came through. And then it got moved somewhere else, and then it got moved to another mountain, and I was afraid I was going to lose it again because it was like, it was late August that someone dropped it at the top of a mountain. I'm like, I'm never going to see that again because it's going to snow in Colorado. And then it got picked up the next year, and I'm like, all right, it's going again. And then all of a sudden it just fell off the face of the earth in 2014. Someone saw it, and that was the end of it in 2014. And, you know, years went by. I just assumed that the bug was gone. And that happens in the United States. I like for my bugs to go out in Europe, but it usually happens in the United States. So I don't really worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, about a few days ago on the 17th, I get a message from Prying Pandora, who is a lackey in Groundspeak. It says, good news, your tag has resurfaced. Apparently,
wait, hold on. Wait. Hey. This is 5 years later or 4 years later? This is like.
Well, it went missing in 2014, and then it came back up to light in 2019.
It resurfaced via a lackey.
Yeah.
Via a lackey. Correct?
So was it marked missing?
Well, yeah. Did you mark it missing, or did you just leave it?
It was marked. It was marked missing back. Well, it was last seen in 2014. Someone eventually marked it as missing in 2015.
Okay. Interesting. So continue.
And so I'm like, all right. But then I get a message the other day, and they're like, hey, it just showed up at Geocaching HQ. Someone brought it there, and it got dumped into their lap with no history whatsoever from 2014.
That's a good anonymous way to drop it.
Go ahead.
The weird thing about it is that the lackey picked it up and brought it to an event that was going to happen.
Okay.
And the weird thing about it is that event is now unpublished.
Oh.
So it's missing again in the state of Washington. Like they dropped it in an event that never happened.
Wait, so hold on. So I gotta make sure I understand this correctly here. So you had a cache. Your long story. You had a cache. It almost went missing. It finally went missing in 2014. You marked it missing because it was you washed your hands of it, saying it's all gone. Next thing you know, 5 years later, a lackey gets a hold of you and says, "Hey, we found it, and I'm going to put it in this cache or this event cache." And the event got archived. The event never happened. So it's sitting in the archived event cache, is what it's doing.
Yeah.
Correct. Oh,
okay. Well, it's probably out there in someone's pocket.
So how did it wind up? So here's the question. Hold on. So how did it get to headquarters is the question. Jesse might have an answer for you. Jesse, I know Jesse, guys. Jesse's not feeling well. Jesse's got a nasty cold and a nasty sore throat. That's why you haven't heard her beautiful voice.
I have a deep raspy voice this week.
Sorry
Jesse, about that.
What's your theory on both of these last two calls? What is your theory about these? Because I know you saw something on Facebook, I think last summer or 2 summers ago.
No, it was just this past summer. So the first call, Acme Wild Cachers, I think that's awesome. I mean, I don't think that has anything to do with the story that I'm about to tell. I think maybe it just went MIA for a while. The cacher had it in a bag and then realized, oh my gosh, I've had this for however many years, and dropped it somewhere. And, that's my guess on that one. So there was a story on social media over the summer about somebody who was out west somewhere, and I'm going to try to shorten this story. Near a cache, there was a container full of hundreds of trackables. Now, this is all hearsay. This is all, obviously, you can't believe everything you hear. So I have no idea how truthful the story is. It's just a big coincidence that I saw this post on Facebook. Person found a box of hundreds of trackables, posted a picture of the box. Somebody else zoomed in on the picture, was able to read off a couple of the numbers, and coincidentally, all of those trackables were marked as missing. Somebody else recognized one of their trackables and said, yeah, that was mine. It's been missing for years. And then all of a sudden, a few months later, I start seeing all of these stories of people who say, my trackable's been missing for years, and suddenly a lackey has it. Suddenly they're all showing up at HQ.
Well, yeah, in the not to stop you, Jess, but in the chat room, Bounce is saying there was a guy hoarding travel bugs. They got turned into HQ by the box loads.
Right.
So they may have it.
Right.
What Aaron, what's the name? Bouncebot says he may have your traveler. He has several hundred in his caches. What's your traveler? Do you know the name or the TB code on it?
So the trackable that was mine, it was called I Found a Magellan Cedo Travel Tag.
Okay.
And the code that I have for it is TB4ATQ3. And I'll post that on the page.
Everybody's going to log it.
No,
no,
that's
he
the
just put the
TV
TV number.
I know. I'm totally kidding. I know. So what? One more time. What was the name of it?
It's TB4.
No, the name. The name.
TB3. Oh, sorry. The name is Magellan Cedo. I found a Magellan Cedo travel tag.
Okay. So yes, so Jesse could be on it. Is that I think maybe the lackeys, whenever they go somewhere, they grab a handful or something like that. Jesse, is that the point you were trying to make?
Yeah. Yeah. The random box of trackables got sent to HQ, and so they're slowly dispersing them. And I'm still very hopeful that my missing TVs may show up.
They have two. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I have a couple that I'd love to see turn up. Oh my god, it'd be amazing.
There's only one that I really want to see turn up, and I'm sure it's in some closets, a little plushy toy thingy box or whatever, So that one I have no hope of ever getting back.
All right, Aaron, Cody, thank you so much for calling in, buddy.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
We got one more. We have got DJW House in the house. DJW, how you doing, buddy?
Hey everybody, how you doing, Scott?
Good. And another
good to hear you.
Another patron. I appreciate it so much, sir. Thank you so much for supporting the show.
Hey, my pleasure. Hey, and thanks back to you guys. It's a long winter, and it sure is nice to think about geocaching a little bit and listening to you guys. It kind of lifts the spirits a little bit in the cold season here.
Absolutely. One thing before we get into this, I know you got a story. DJ, for guys who don't know, DJW House, he is an amazing puzzle cacher. We're going to have him on the show. I've invited him and he has accepted to talk about, he does, how would you explain the kind of caches you do?
Electronic geocaches, electronic puzzles. I call them wired.
Yeah, wired.
They have some kind of batteries and wires and things.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're all over Chicago. If you go to Wisconsin by West Bend, they're all over West Bend. You're bound to run into one sooner or later in West Bend for the Cache Bash. Great caches, and I want to have a show just for you. So
awesome.
For that upcoming,
awesome.
He's really great. He really great caches. Meantime, that's not what the show is about. The show is about travel bugs. What do you got for me? Tell me your TB story, sir.
Yeah. Well, I heard you guys were doing travel bugs. I had to try to share my story of hope for caches out there. We talk a lot about lost bugs and things like that. I started back in maybe spring of 2012, and by May I had purchased my first travel bug. And not being a very bright and a new cacher, I got a coin. And I sent the coin out into the wild. So that I think everybody kind of knows coins tend to disappear.
Sure.
Yeah, I was new. But it had a mission to go to the oldest caches, and I thought maybe that would be more respectable. Members we'd be taking around, and they'd do a little better and stuff like that. And for most of a year or so, year and a half, I think the bug traveled pretty good, and it was fun reading the logs and so on. And I think the winter, this was 2012, so in the winter of 2013, I went looking at my caches and reading the logs and see how things were doing. And this one had not moved, shown up, or done anything for 6-7 months, that kind of a thing. So I started poking around, looked, as we all do, looked at the ID of the last person that picked it up. And this individual joined in December of 2012, found his first cache in December of 2012, and found 4 more. So a total of 6 finds. Mm-hmm. And mine was the 3rd cache they found. They picked up the Geo coin. So this thing is gone forever.
Gone forever.
It was not going to be around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, it was wintertime. I was bored. I started sending emails. So the person was still not logging in, but people leave emails instead of the contact, and I started emailing. And I think I tried after the new year, and I emailed again, and in the spring I emailed and did not get a reply until the summer. I don't know why I kept sending an email. It was my first coin, and I was just frustrated I'd never got it back. But
Sure.
actually got a reply from a guy. He said, "Oh, I've been at school, I've been busy, and I'll get it to you, whatever." Oh, great, that's wonderful. Emailed him about 3 more times for the next 8 months and never heard again. And then finally in November of 2014, so this thing had been gone for 20 months, I got a reply again to an email, sent my address. The individual mailed the GeoCoin back. And of course, since then it's going nowhere. It's staying in my house. But I actually managed to recover my first GeoCoin, which I was foolish enough to send out. And through perseverance. So if you're missing, I don't know, I just started irritating the guy and sending emails until he finally replied, and then eventually got my coin back. So that was my story of hope as far as geocaching and coins go.
No, that's amazing. I can't believe you actually got it back. That's amazing. I
felt like a stalker for the guy for a while, but hey,
well, that's how you get it back. That'll do it.
Eventually, he felt so bad he mailed it back to me.
Well, so did he keep it? Was that he wasn't putting it back out? It was on his shelf. What was he?
Yeah,
well, he only had done 5 caches,
and he never cashed since then. So he had not cashed for a whole year by the time I finally got a response from him. Fortunately, he had his email in there, not just his, contact me through geocaching.com. And he must have picked up his Gmail and finally saw my note in there. Didn't delete it. Like Chad always deletes all. He must have just caught my email one time and replied. So,
right.
And he still had it too. That was
that amazes me the most is he still had it. That's what I'm saying. It was probably sitting on his shelf.
I know.
Oh, I admit I've had them sitting in the bottom of my bag.
I can't find anything after a year,
Right, exactly. Yeah. If it's not in my, I have a coin cabinet right in front of me here. If it's not in this coin cabinet, it's gone. I don't even know where it is. It's maybe in a drawer. I'm scattered in various drawers, the ones that I don't want to look at every day.
Well, see, when I'm out at big events, I tend to toss them in my bag, and I don't remember exactly where I tossed them in my bag. And I think I've cleaned out my bag when I get home,
right.
But I haven't quite apparently cleaned it all out, because the next time I'm getting ready to go to a big event or stuff, I'm getting back into that same geocaching bag, and it's like, holy cow! I'm guilty of picking this thing up and having it for 9 months and never logged it.
Right. Yeah.
So I've been the bad guy before.
About it. Yeah.
You know what's funny is that I have this story to tell today, but I guess I'll tell it right now because it fits right now. Let me get down to my story. I had a Chicago Geocacher podcast coin. Okay. And what happened was we minted coins for our 100th and final show in 2014. And what we did is we had, the logo on the front, 100 episodes on the back. It's a great coin. Whoever has one, I'm sure somebody in the chat room's got one. And what happened is they screwed it up. They didn't put Chicago Geocacher on the coin. DJ, do you have one? Do you even have one? You were around back then, weren't you?
No, I'm thinking about a path tag, but no coin yet.
Oh, okay. No, I'm talking about, did you get a Chicago Geocacher? Did you listen to that show when it was on?
No, I don't think so.
You weren't around? Well, you were around then. Anyway, so
I was certainly listening. Yeah.
So we so they had to remint them, and so we got 200 coins that were bad. So basically, everybody got free coins because they didn't charge us to remint, which was amazing. Because if you know the cost of making coins, it is a buttload of money.
Yeah,
so they minted them for free, and so everybody got if you ordered one coin, you got two. A error card and a real card. Error coin and a real coin. So my error coins, I ordered 2 coins for myself, and so my 2 error coins I sent out into the wild. Okay, because they're error, they're wrong. And so to make the long story short, 2 years goes by. 2016, I'm at West Bend. Joshua, the geocaching vlogger, shows up with one of my coins. He's got it in his hand.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I'm like, how often do you get a coin back? And so I actually, I discovered it and I gave it back to Joshua and I said, put it back out, And so he took it to China. He dropped it in, Korea. He took it to Korea, dropped it in Korea. It got to Germany. And then somebody dumped it in Germany. Somebody picked it up. And I did some little research, a little sleuthing. Somebody picked it up and then they didn't drop it again. They're holding on to it. So I sent that person in German an email I went to Google Translate and I typed it out and this is like the other day. I just did this. This is recent. And then I sent, I had translate it to German, and then I sent them an email saying, "Hey, can I have my coin back? Because this is like 2 years. Can I have my coin back, or can you like dump it in the cash, please? Because it's kind of an important coin." And so I doubt I'll hear back from them.
Sometimes emails work. Yeah.
Yeah, I doubt I'll hear back. Who knows how bad the German was, but we'll see what happens. And obviously I'll keep our listeners abreast of all this. But yeah, it was interesting that happened to you. It was like that literally just happened to me the other day. So that's interesting. But I appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much for calling in. We appreciate it very much, Dave.
My pleasure. Thanks for what you guys do.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a patron. Much appreciated, man. Much appreciated. Thank you. Hey, Chad.
Hey.
Before we get to one more call, do you have a good story, Chad? I want to hear your story.
So
you know what? This show is almost over. We've talked nothing. Guess what? Next week is part 2, because we haven't even gotten to anything we want to talk about today.
Right. So I'm going to talk about my the travel bug that has the second most miles of mine, 78,000 miles with 12 transatlantic crossings. 4 of those transatlantic.
78,000 miles is what you
78,000 miles. So 4 of those transatlantic crossings were by me, 2 different trips, so back and forth. And then this is one that its goal was to go to Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And it was the first one that I made myself. I had a name tag before that, but this was the first one that I made myself and put out there. And, I took it around a little bit because, okay, I've got a trip over to Turkey, got a trip over to UK. So I took it around a little bit, and then I dropped it at a Travel Bug hotel near Houston Intercontinental Airport. And I was expecting it to kind of get picked up and then kind of move around the U.S. a little bit. Well, and I had just came back from Germany when I dropped it off. And where does the thing go?
Where?
It goes straight back to Germany. Okay. And within a couple of, it made it to a couple different geocaches, and then a gentleman by the name of Fox 007 picks it up, and he proceeds to keep it for 2 years, a little over 2 years, actually. And I was pinging him a little bit in German as well. Like you said, it's like, are you going to get it back out there? Can you drop it off? And then he finally dropped it off. And so this was in January of 2012 that he picked it up. And he finally dropped it off in February of 2014. And so a little over 2 years. And starts hopping around a little bit, not very much. And then gets dropped in the Bruges Beer 4 mega event over there, and nothing. Hear nothing about it for about 3 weeks. And it's like, I hope someone didn't take it. And then I'm sitting there on my couch, reading my email, and then I got a pop. It had that notification saying that someone had logged it as picked it up, and lo and behold, it's my good friend Kirby Docs. I mean, she lives like a couple miles away.
From you, from miles away from you. Wow.
So she had happened to go over there with some of her friends to hit the mega event, and happened to pick that one up. She didn't realize it was mine at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I shot her out an email real quick. It's like, look, bring it to the next event. Don't drop it off anywhere. I want to at least, affix a tag to it that tells it what its goal is, as opposed to having just the goal online. And so I got it back. I put the tag on there, and I drop it off at another. I think I dropped it off at another Travel Bag hotel. Where does the thing go back to? Germany.
Get out of town.
It goes back to Germany, but since then it's flown. It's been to South America. It's been to an island off of the African coast. So it's been around. It's been around quite a few different areas, but it's it always goes back to Germany. It's like that. Germany's got this whole section. It's like
It's home. It's going home. You know what you should do? Have its thing be go to Germany. Then it won't go to Germany. If it
ever makes it to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, I will change the goal to go to Germany and stay in Germany.
Well, hey, we've got our good friend of the show, Carrot Killer, on the line. Carrot Killer, what's up, man? How you doing?
What's up, gentlemen?
Dude, hashtag vindication, sir. Hashtag vindication.
Yay.
How do you feel? How do you feel about that?
So what's up, guys?
How do you feel about that?
Hey, I'm just happy that it was the real deal. You know, it's really happening. So that'll be good for me since I'll be at the event. And hey, I don't have to have mud on my face anymore.
Yeah.
Dude, I felt horrible, but you know what? Vindication, man. I love it. Now you're like the man in the know. So well done, sir.
Man. I'm the deep state reporter.
I know, absolutely. Yeah, you were the man. You come up with the best good stuff, man. Now you're a good source again. You were a bad source for a while. You're good now again. Welcome back. Welcome back, sir. So you got a story. I want to hear your story. But seriously, man,
I'll make it quick.
First of all, honestly, I'm so happy you were right. That makes me so happy that you were right. When I was watching Geocache Talk and they said it, I was so happy. I was like, God, yes, good. Damn sure I was right. Yes. That made me so happy. Okay, sorry. So go ahead. Yeah. Trackables.
Cool, man. Here's my story.
Let me hear it.
I was a brand new cacher, like 2014. I don't know. Maybe I was in it for about a year or so. And I'd been telling a friend of mine about geocaching, and whatever. And him and his wife went on a cruise to the Bahamas.
Uh-huh.
And he told me he was walking around on, like, it was a beachy area, but it wasn't like a public beach. And there was a bunch of trees, and he said he was sitting in the sand, and he started, like, flipping over some leaves. And he just found a trackable tag with a little piece of wire connected to it. And he just saw the geocaching, so he brought it all the way back to Georgia, where I was living at the time, and just gave it to me. So when I pulled it up, it had been lost in a cache in the Bahamas in 2007.
Oh, my God.
So I just thought that was a pretty cool resurrection, where it was just randomly found on a beach in the Bahamas.
That's amazing. Did you?
Had it not been for that guy,
did you email the host?
I did. I emailed the owner. I explained it to him, and he thought I was like, I don't know. He seemed kind of aggressive at first. I was like, man, I'm just telling you, my friend found this in the Bahamas. I'll send it back to you if you want it. And he's like, yeah, send it back. So that's all I heard about that.
It's like, you're welcome, dude.
What's the odds of that?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, sometimes caches get floated out to the oceans. I mean,
absolutely. I mean, yes, of course.
I know I've got an ammo can that went out to the Gulf of Mexico. I know damn well it went out there.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So
well, I could see on the page for the trackable, it had been placed in a cache in the Bahamas.
Uh-huh.
And then shortly after that, I looked at that cache and it said, cache has been destroyed. It's just scattered around, whatever.
Right.
And so the trackable was lost, and somehow 7 years later, this guy found it, who wasn't even a cacher.
Wound up on the beach. And wow, that's
awesome.
That's
I wonder if there's a guy out there with a metal detector going.
I know. That's pretty amazing, dude. That's a great story. Thank you, sir, for calling in. Thank you so much for being a patron. I appreciate it. Well, we appreciate it very much. And thank you for your good intel. Hey, you ever got a scoop, man? You give us a call. Your word now. You are pop. You're on the air. Yeah, you're once again in the good graces of the GCPC. Well done, sir. Well done. Hashtag vindication for Carrot Killer. Well done, sir. Thank you for calling, and we'll talk to you soon.
Very nice.
We'll talk to you soon.
Yep. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
Yeah.
So, Sir Chad, we are out of time here. And guess what? We have not done anything in our show notes.
Yep. You're right. I was thinking about that as we're going along. It's like,
I spent hours on the show notes, dude. So we got to have part 2 next week, guys. That's our show next week, part 2, where we're actually going to talk about trackables and the different types of trackables and all that. But that being said, we are also taking your calls. Anybody next week's show is a all things trackable part 2. And again, you got an interesting trackable story. I want to hear it. Chad wants to hear it. Jesse wants to hear it.
We know you guys got some more trackable stories out there.
Everybody's got a trackable story. I don't care who you are. If you've been caching for a month, you got a trackable story. Everybody's got one. So we want to hear it. Give us a call next week. 808 swag. We want to hear it. In the meantime, Chad, sir,
Yes.
I will talk to you next week. Thank you so much, Chad. Always a pleasure. Jesse Brown, hope you're feeling better. Always a pleasure. Looking lovely. Not sounding lovely, but you look lovely. Hey, remember, it's better to look good than to feel good.
Thank goodness for the microphone mute.
All right, guys, that is the show. We are going to go to the closing again next week. All Things Trackable Part 2. We want to hear from you again. We'll hopefully get to our show notes. And okay, here we go. Please join us again next week as we take your calls live every Wednesday night at 9:30 Eastern, 8:30 Central, right here at the geocachingpodcast.com/live. The archived video versions of our podcasts are available on our website or on our YouTube channel, and the audio versions are available on most of your favorite podcatchers. If you like the show, please head on over to Apple iTunes and rate, review, and subscribe. We'd really appreciate it, and it really helps the show when you do. Be sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for updates on upcoming shows and general geocaching information. And hey, if you haven't already, please consider becoming a patron of our show. With tiers starting as low as $3, you will get a ton of additional information, extra videos, extra audio, only available to our patron members. Head on over to patreon.com today and subscribe. That's patreon.com/the Geocaching Podcast. Thanks once again to our sponsors, Cachly, Logwork, and FTF Geocacher Magazine. If you visit our sponsors, please tell them we sent you. GCPC sent you. Purchase their stuff. They're awesome people. That's all we got this week, so we'll see you next week talking geocaching, taking your phone calls. In the meantime, be good, be safe, stay warm, hug your loved ones, and we will talk to you guys next week. We are clear. Awesome, guys. Thank you for the call. All you callers, you guys were amazing. Everybody in the chat room, I loved it. I was peeking over all show. Awesome. Well done, guys. Again, next week, same thing. All Things Trackable. Try and get to our stuff. We want to hear your trackable stories. I know everybody's got one. Come on. I know you got one, guys. And that's about it. So taco burrito. Thank you so much, guys. We will talk to you next week. Chad, always a pleasure, sir.
Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, sir.
Stay warm.
Oh, it's
Did you sir me?
I served you. I did.
Okay.
Jesse, it's so cold in this room. I had to turn the space heaters off, so it didn't. Mics didn't pick it up. It is so freaking cold. My hands are like this. Like, my toes are cold.
Come up here. It's warm upstairs.
It's literally probably 50 degrees in this room, if not even. It probably. It is so cold. So, all right, guys. Thank you so much for being with us live. Tune in next week. More shows about trackables. Taking calls again. We want to hear from you guys. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks a lot.